What's good, everyone? The game was over before the fans got their popcorn. A dominant 23-point win for the Golden State Warriors. But the bad news came before the game. We're discussing a win and a loss on the same day on today's Locked On Dubs.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Whatever, you didn't ask for it, but I'll give you a little energy out of the gate. Warriors improved to 11-3 on the season, just thrashing the Atlanta Hawks. Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA, and you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win. Participation trophies. You win that $50 bonus when you play $5. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. A lot of ways you can check out the show if you like it. We're on YouTube. If you are here with us, leave your comments, engage in the conversation. Thumbs up's appreciated too. And always subscribe so it comes to you, and take us on the road. Audio podcasts are wonderful in the car, in the gym, on the John, whatever it may be. Charlie Walter with you, formerly at 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area, also CBS News Bay Area. That is KPIX, covered the Warriors championship run in 21-22. Kolsky, my co-host today, Matt Kolsky, covered all the Warriors championships. Not the one not the one 40 years ago.
Not that one.
Yeah, not that one, 50 years ago at this point. But Kolsky, let's talk about a win today where the Warriors cruise to a comfortable one over the Atlanta Hawks, who I think it's safe to say are not a very good basketball team, but the Warriors didn't make them look good. The Hawks have won 7 games this season. They're now 7-9. Trae Young struggled because Andrew Wiggins played some great defense on him, as did Lindy Waters. Overall, there's a lot of exciting things to get to, but let's get the bad news out of the gate before we enjoy the show, and that is De'Anthony Melton's out for the season. We originally just thought it was a sprained ACL. It turns into ACL surgery that will end his season. A big loss for the Golden State Warriors. How big a loss? I ask you.
I'm of two minds on this because there's sort of two directions to look at it from. If we're going to do good news first, the good news is if I had to pick a position to get injured, it's probably 2 guard, like combo guard, because they are really well protected with depth at that position, right? I mean, we can complain about the early season performances of some of these guys, but Lindy Waters, Moses Moody, Brandon Pajemski, Buddy Hield, Gary Payton, they all play 2 guard, right? On the other hand, if you asked me to pick which 2 guard I would most like to stay healthy, it would have been De'Anthony Melton. And I think you could see that the team feels that way as well by the fact that he was the starting 2 guard when available. I think his sort of unique combination of ability to play some point guard, ability to knock down a 3-point shot, and really high-level defense made him kind of the perfect 2 guard for what this team wants to do. And it's a real bummer. And then, I mean, just from like a personnel management standpoint, this guy was on a 1-year deal for just under $13 million that I think he probably looked at it as a prove it deal, right? And the Warriors probably thought, like, depending on how this goes, maybe there's a way to bring him back at a similar value for longer term. Now, who knows what will happen as far as that part of it goes, because he's essentially no longer a Warriors player. I mean, he's out for the year. I'm sure he'll rehab around the team, but the next time he plays basketball will be on a new contract. And what that looks like and who it's with, who knows at this point. So it's a bummer all around, man. It really is. And it's certainly a hit to their much celebrated depth, but they do have a lot of guys to play that position. It just means guys like Moody and Waters in particular are going to have to step up.
Tell you what, man, it was Lindy Waters for a little bit today. He hit a couple of three-pointers, had 10 in the game. The Andrew Wiggins show. We're obviously getting into that. Buddy Hield got some minutes, but it sucks with Melton because he was playing such good basketball. We didn't really get the chance to see him consistently. Missed a couple games in the preseason, I want to say, then a couple in the regular season, just the back and then the knee. And it was always something. But the games that he played fully healthy, especially in OKC, and I want to say it was a couple back-to-back, maybe the Wizards there too. I mean, played some good basketball games for the Warriors towards the end there. And yeah, that may be the end of De'Anthony Melton as we know it as a Golden State Warriors. Who knows? But somber, man. Let's turn up the energy though, because the Warriors still have like 12 other guys that can play, and they still have an 11-3 team now that score 41 points in the first quarter today. You were calling them out, rightfully so. You were saying serious basketball teams in the year 2024 do not score 99 points. This is not 1991. They do not do that. Good teams score the ball. 41 for the Warriors today in the first quarter. 9 players score in that first quarter, which was a season high. Kuminga's fighting for boards. Wiggins attacking off the ball screens. Draymond's doing it all. Pods went in there and hits a three-pointer. Buddy cycle is going from, hot to cold in the same game. I don't know, what's going on with Buddy out there. You think he's got 5 threes at one point. You look at the box score and it's like, oh, he only went 3 for 9 in the game. But that's how, hot he gets in one quarter alone when he went in there in the first and dropped down a bunch of them. He had 11 in the game today. Curry, 23. Wiggins, 27. So let's start there. Andrew Wiggins. He's having a great year, man. We talked about him all offseason, how if the Golden State Warriors wanted to get back to where they were and be a serious contender in the Western Conference, he was your number one variable. He had to come back to form and be the player that he was a couple of years ago, even just the season where he missed a lot of games for the personal reasons, but came back in that playoffs against Sacramento and LA and played all right. That's what they need from Andrew Wiggins. That's what they got today. 12 of 17, 3 of 6. He was attacking the glass, 7 points in the game. Kalina Azubuike was just loving his play off the screens today, off the ball screens. He was just a monster. Look, a lot of people thought this wasn't happening. This was like the defining year. Who's Wiggins going to be? Is he 21, 22? Is that who he is? And he went through tough times in his personal life. And look, when you have a cloud over your head, everyone handles that sort of thing differently. Everyone handles it differently. And it's just looking like what Steve Kerr said in the offseason, that he could be your number 2 scorer, that he is still the player that he was, and he's in good shape and he looks good. I mean, everything that we thought Wiggins probably wasn't going to be again, he's been, man. He's back. Wiggins is back.
Certainly, I think we can say the last 2 years are an unfortunate time in his life and career that are now behind him, which is great. Over the course of the year so far, I think he's been basically the Andrew Wiggins you got in the regular season in the championship year, and that is a very good player. It's an elite defender on the perimeter. It's a guy who, on a good night, will hit some jumpers and can, attack the basket a little bit. What I'm not sure we saw before tonight was the 2022 finals version of Andrew Wiggins, and it really was mostly the second half tonight, where he gets the ball and he is headed downhill. He is attacking the basket with aggression. He's driving and kicking to shooters. Like, Andrew Wiggins created offense tonight in a way that I'm not sure he has over the course of the year. And quite honestly, if he starts to do that consistently, the Warriors are really onto something. I've been touting Kuminga all year. I still obviously love his potential. The problem with Wiggins has always been a lack of consistent aggression. And even when he was at his best in terms of long periods of time, the aggression on offense would still come and go. And we can write that off to expending energy on defense, to, Steph was always the number one guy, and others were ahead of Wiggins in the pecking order in the past. But right now, if Kuminga's going to be playing, 15 to 19 minutes a night, Wiggins is the only guy who's getting the opportunity to be that second scorer. And to me, it's not the efficiency. It's not, a no turnover game, which is great, but not sustainable. It's the fact that when he got the ball in the second half, the first thing he did was attack. And
get downhill like a toboggan, baby. Get downhill.
And that's got to become consistent. That's got to be who he is, 3 out of 4 nights instead of 1 out of 4 nights. And then the Warriors are really on to something.
Looking through the box score, we mentioned Steph Curry, 7 of 10, 4 of 6. Had a nice first quarter, and then picked it up again late in the game. But there was a
very casual,
casual
23 and 8 assists, by the way, too. Just ridiculously good.
Just 8 assists in a 30-minute effort, tied for most on the team with Andrew Wiggins, who also played 30. The 41-point first quarter. I want to talk about what the Warriors did well in that first quarter. If there was anything in today's game that made you shrug your shoulders, or at least think that the Warriors didn't play a really clean basketball game. They say that teams always make runs in the NBA. The Hawks run got them to about 16 points or something like that before the Warriors gave them one final hook, a little uppercut, and then a quick little jab right to the mouth. Warriors winners, 120-97. We're continuing to discuss on Locked On Warriors. All right, one of my favorite apps out there. It's the Gametime app. You should download it right now. It's free. If it's free, why wouldn't you download it? Here's the nice thing about it. The closer you get to Gametime, the cheaper your tickets get. So for those of you that have been using the box office for years, box office, the prices are the same. If you're running 5 minutes later, you're getting there right around game time, you're calling Gametime because they get cheaper. Also, you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and the lowest price guarantee. If you want low prices, you'll get credit 110% of the difference if it's not the lowest price. And it's covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Kolsky, give me the time, baby.
It is 9:53 p.m.
It's game time. I put them on a tee. It is game time. It was game time for the Golden State Warriors from, I wanted to say the second they stepped on the floor tonight, but much like many of the games against lower competition at the beginning of the year, notably, I think the Jazz and the Portland Trailblazers and maybe the Pelicans in one of those two games, it was kind of a slower start. The Hawks and Warriors were battling back and forth, tie game with about, 5 minutes left in the first quarter. And then it's Steph, and then it's Buddy, and then it's Buddy, and then it's Buddy. Buddy gets hot, and then Pods knocks one down. And then you look up and it's a 20-point game. Wiggs had attacked at that point. He knocked one down. 9 different players score for the Warriors in the first quarter. But you look after that first quarter, and there were some moments there, especially in the second quarter, where the Warriors were just looking for bodies. They were just cobbling some lineups together, which I know is going to get under Warriors fans' skin this entire season. When you have this many players, it's impossible not to kind of have favorites game by game and get caught up in it. But there were some lineups today that were a little tough offensively, just 26 second quarter points, or 23 third quarter points rather, but some of those coming late in the quarter. I want your overall take on the Warriors offense today, how they looked, 1 through how many different players scored for Golden State today. We got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ended up scoring for Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, I continue to be pretty baffled by Steve Kerr's rotations, but, they're 11-3. The offense is so focused. I think it is sometimes so focused on ball movement in the pursuit of shooting open threes that it's that they do that to their detriment occasionally. There was a point where Wiggins was really rolling, and I think it was Kalena on the broadcast was like, well, this is a good time to feed Andrew Wiggins and, let him keep going off these ball screens and attacking the rim. And on 2 or 3 consecutive possessions, the Warriors threw it around the perimeter between the other 4 guys before somebody missed a 3. So, we all know Steve Kerr's philosophy, and I support it. But also there's just doing what's working at times. And I think sometimes the commitment to the philosophy gets in the way of what's working. That being said, it's pretty stark. When the Warriors don't turn it over and hit their free throws, their offense looks great. Like that second quarter you mentioned, they shot the ball like crap. But the offense still looked pretty good because they weren't just fumbling all over the place and missing all their free throws. I
don't know. That second quarter was a hard watch there for a minute, man.
I don't. Yeah, if missed shots bother you that much, but they win that quarter by 6 points, man. I don't. And 26 points in a quarter is fine. It's especially
they had a good run late when they put the subs back in. I'm talking first 5 minutes of the quarter. It was a little slow from my memory. I mean, it was
well, but the problem is you're playing, Peyton Pajemski, Heald was bad in that quarter. Kevon Looney, Kyle Anderson, most of these guys can't hit the broadside of a barn shooting the basketball. So to me, those are lineup choice issues. And I think Steve Kerr is willingly foregoing offense for defense on a pretty regular basis. And those will be the results you get, but they're still going to be the better team if they're not turning the ball over and missing their free throws. And all you need to do is look at the one quarter that they didn't win in tonight's game, which was the third quarter. And they turned the ball over more in the third quarter than they did in the whole first half. They shot the ball better than in the second, but it was a crap quarter because they turned the ball over and they went 5 of 8 from the free throw line. I hate to make it so simple because there are so many factors, right? I mean, this is basically what we talked about on Monday. There's 1,000 reasons to point at why you lose that Clippers game, and any one of them, if you fix, you might win. But fundamentally, this team all year long, when they don't turn it over and make their free throws, they win basketball games, period.
It's remarkable to see in the chat and to see in the comments and all of you everydayers, we call you, that tune into the show every day. We appreciate that, and thank you for making it hopefully your first listen of every day. Have your morning coffee with us and your evening coffee as well, decaf. But I mean, the amount of people that just are looking at the rotations right now in a 23-point win, I don't know what to tell you, man. The Warriors just kicked the Hawks' ass. The Hawks looked really, really bad tonight. I mean, what were the final numbers for Trae Young? If you went and got some water, you may have missed that he was on the floor today. 4 of 12, had 12 points in the game, did have 11 assists. So he did play a large part in, a lot of their points in this one, only scoring 97 in the game. But this is a Hawks team that seemed to be in a good spot, 3-4 years ago, making that miraculous run to the Eastern Conference Finals and stunning some people with a young core involving Trae Young. I mean, obviously he's their cornerstone. And since then, I mean, they're in a bad spot. They're 7-9. They're probably talking about what the hell is this franchise going to do to get up to Golden State's level? And instead of just soaking in the wind, we're all talking about, why isn't Moses Moody playing enough? Why is it? Kuminga's a gripe. I agree with that one, man. Kuminga is
15 minutes tonight. I would argue he was the biggest spark for them in the first half, and he played 6 minutes in the second half.
Yeah, I mean,
look, man, I don't want to harp on it and keep complaining about it every day, but you can't tell me something weird's not going on. And frankly, Moody is almost as bad. Tonight he did get 19 minutes, but over the course of the year,
I didn't think he looked good tonight, man.
Tonight he stunk.
I don't
And
think that
look,
was a hot take. I don't think Moody looked
no,
good,
it's
man.
not. He stunk tonight, and guys are going to have bad games, especially 22-year-olds who don't know how much they're going to play night to night. But over the course of the year, I think it's quite clear from the first dribble of preseason until yesterday, Moses Moody has been better than Lindy Waters, and he has played less. I don't understand that. There
Package
does.
deal? And I know what the counter argument would be. Why would not playing them in games where you're up by 23 points and showcase their value to use them as trade chips? I don't know. And then you could put on the tinfoil hats and you could say, well, you don't want them to go out there and prove that they're fraudulent or something like that. I don't know. It is strange in a game where
I don't
but I
believe.
mean, you go up and down the roster, man. And when you're playing 12 guys and you're playing how many guys over 13 minutes? I mean, 11 guys over 13 minutes. There are only so many minutes to go around. That's kind of the counter argument.
Right, but there's no rule that you have to play Brandon Pajemski when he, again, cannot hit the broadside of a barn with the basketball. There's no rule that, you have to play 13 guys. You could just play guys who are playing better. And again, it's all like we can look in any one scenario, right? There's always an argument for making a different choice than Kuminga or Moody. Looking at not just this season, but their careers, broadly speaking, with the Warriors, it feels like Steve Kerr looks for reasons to bench Kuminga and Moody while he is looking for reasons to play guys like Lindy Waters or to reach for a terrible blast from the past, Anthony Lamb. And it has never made sense to me, and it makes even less sense now when I think both Moody and Kuminga have shown they're capable of contributing. That being said, Lindy was pretty good tonight. I like tonight. And this is kind of the thing. Tonight, I would have been okay with Moses Moody playing 2 minutes. He goes out there. He's looking off. All right, he doesn't have it tonight. Sit on down. Same thing with Buddy Hield. When he misses, 4 straight shots in the second half. All right, enough of you tonight, buddy. Let's go to someone else. But it just seems like it's never, even when Kuminga or Moody does have that night, they still don't get the extra love.
It's minutes roulette, dude. It's minutes roulette, and
it is. And it's a little weird. It's a little weird, but again, 11-3, not much to complain about. And to the, video commenters who want those guys to demand trades, Moses Moody's happy. He just signed an extension. He'll be here a while. I have less concern about him in the long term, but I do think we're in dangerous territory with Jonathan Kuminga. In no way does it work for him to be playing less than 20 minutes a game right now. And
in a 23-point win when it was never close.
Well, but just overall, he's basically playing less than 20 minutes a night. And beyond not making sense, that's obviously not good for his career.
Yeah. Continuing the conversation on Locked On Warriors, looking ahead for Golden State. Some winnable games, some stars, I guess you could say, we get to see before the schedule really starts to pick up. In the NBA Cup, it's Tuesdays and it's Friday. You know which game is next. It's a Friday NBA Cup game. The court's going to be back. We'll discuss that one coming up on Locked On Warriors. And a little Wemby talk. Yeah, that's all coming up. All right, and it's now time to tell you that your podcast, the Locked On Warriors podcast, now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Warriors Daily Newsletter. It's a one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage. It's delivered right to your inbox. You can sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And you'll start your day with a free Locked On Warriors newsletter. It just goes right to your inbox. It's got nuggets. It's got the podcast link directly there. It's good stuff. It will not spam your inbox. It'll be a very welcomed addition, just like Chime is out there. There are serious times for finances in life, always serious, but there are certain points in your life where you're making big financial decisions, and Chime can help you out. Chime helps you make progress with fee-free overdraft up to $200. Your next deposit is applied to your balance. You can get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. No monthly fees or maintenance fees, and over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. How about that? You set up direct deposit in your Chime account after qualifying direct deposit of $200+. Chime will notify you to enroll in SpotMe. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance. Your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance. Chime never charges fees or interest for using SpotMe. Make your fall finances a little greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/MBA. That's chime.com/MBA. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank members, FDIC. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in SpotMe and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. Let's talk about the Dubs. All right, the schedule coming up for Golden State. We got a little Wembanyama action this weekend, but I guess you can't skip over any games. The Warriors do have another one before that. It's the New Orleans Pelicans. It's on the road. But based on what we saw from the New Orleans Pelicans with Zion Williamson, it's hard for me to get up for that one and think that it's going to be anything different than today, which was the sleepiest win you'll ever have. I mean, it's an interesting world you're living in, where you kick a team's ass by 23 points and the post-game comments switch to the rotations that were not played in that 23-point drubbing.
Yeah, it's champagne problems. Wembanyama, he's out tomorrow night, so we'll see if he plays Saturday. That would be a nice break if they manage to miss that guy. Because
I want to see him play, man. I want to see him.
Look,
beat him at full strength. It's the Spurs.
Fully agreed. I'm just saying he's out tomorrow. We'll see what happens. The Pelicans are not good, and missing Zion does not help, obviously. So, look, I think it's a back-to-back. Those are always a little dodgy. It'll be interesting to see if they win the League Cup game on Friday in New Orleans, whether a couple guys get a night off against the Spurs, especially if Wembanyama's not playing. But this is another stretch of winnable games. We keep talking about it. The winnable games come in bunches. And so far, other than the house of horrors that is the Inglewood Stadium, the Warriors are taking care of business.
Just the Clippers in general, the thorn to the Warriors, along with the Cavs, who have been the thorn to everyone. But aside from that, I mean, you go up and down the roster. They beat Portland by 36. They beat Utah by 40. They beat New Orleans by 18 and 15. And then Washington had a 30-point lead at one point. They sleptwalked a 13-point victory in Washington. They handled Memphis. That one shouldn't have been close. So, and now Atlanta by 23 points. Last year, it felt like the Warriors were fighting till the end. They were in some wars in some of these games against lesser opponents. They slipped up in some of them with some egregious late game management. There's no late game management anymore. The only thing that we're doing as podcast hosts is making sure the equipment's set up in time, because it's victory formation. It's the human victory cigar. No longer Lindy Waters, who's now in the starting lineup. We have one human victory cigar. It's just Guy. When Guy's in there, you know that it's time to set up the equipment, man. Maybe post soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when your boy Quentin Post shows up, then we'll really have a giant victory cigar. Yeah, exactly. It's great, and I think the Warriors with Steph Curry on the floor, you're always going to feel pretty confident in a close game as well. So even though they haven't had to play a lot of close games, that's not a major concern for me. They continue to do everything you want them to do, and all the complaints we may have about rotations or whatever, like, they're all, again, it's champagne problems. You're 11-3, and pretty much everybody is playing reasonably well. I mean, other than Pajemski, who I think we can come up with plenty of reasons, and God, hopefully he doesn't have to put the mask back on after getting banged in the face again tonight. But other than him, everyone has at least lived up to expectations so far, I would say. And where they haven't, it's largely a result of just not having opportunity yet. I think we'll see, hopefully Melton is the last big injury bug to bite, because that's obviously where I would start to get concerned is, yes, this team is deep, but they're winning because they're deep. So, every hit to that depth is a bigger hit than maybe you think.
And it's opportunity is what it is. It's opportunity for guys like Pajemski and guys like Moses Moody to step in, and Lindy Waters, quite frankly, who did a good job today with 10 points and hit a couple of big threes. But Pajemski, man, you're right about that. He's the one guy that has not lived up to the expectations, and a lot of them were internal expectations, right? It was people like Joe Lacob saying that he's a future all-star and that, he's going to have a massive jump, and that Pajemski's saying he's worked on his mid-range game and he's looking to create and he's looking for 8 to 10 threes a game. And when you say things like this and the organization says things like this, it's not the fan base, it's not me, a pod stan, putting unrealistic expectations on you. It's ready or not, here you got to come, because you have been, given those expectations internally. And at best, it's been fine. At best.
Brandon and the organization set the expectations with the way they talked about it and valued him over the course of the offseason. And again, I don't want to kill the guy, because it's been a rough start to the season in part outside of his control. It's not his fault, although, of all the guys who's most likely to break a nose on the basketball floor, he's up there. But it's not his fault he happened to break the nose and have to wear a mask. It's not his fault he got hit in the face again tonight. Who knows? It might look totally different if it had been a smoother start to the season. And I still believe in the kid. I still think there will be a stretch this year where he's shooting 40% from three. But the deeper he digs this hole now, the harder it's going to be to look back on a good season overall. And man, again, I just hope whatever happened to his face tonight is not going to have him put the mask back on, because I do think that had a significant effect on the start to his season.
All right, so a good game for the Warriors, who win by 23. Not a great day overall. If you are just now joining us on the live show, De'Anthony Melton out for the season, will undergo ACL surgery. Given his contract situation, who knows what we will see of De'Anthony Melton in a Warriors jersey moving forward. And that's a sobering thing to say, because he was playing good basketball, and I really liked what he brought to the table, especially defensively. But it's time for guys like Pods and Moses Moody and Buddy Hield and Lindy Waters, and the depth that they've accumulated, to step up in their, somehow without Melton today, it's still guys getting 15 minutes. So Steve Kerr doing a great job. Sharing is caring, Coach. And they're sharing the wins with us, and we're sharing the content with you on Locked On Warriors. We appreciate everyone for joining us. If you're on the YouTube show, audio podcast, it'll drop by midnight time Pacific. And it's there for the morning, and vice versa for those of you that want to see what we look like, that have always wondered, what does Kolsky and Chuck look like? I bet they're idiots. No, we're very well put together men.
Chuck is a very good looking guy. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
One out of two ain't bad, folks,
YouTube, Locked On Warriors, everyone. Appreciate you for joining us. Subscribe, leave it a review if you like the show, and have a good one. Dubs, victorious, 11-3.